Stugatz here for Blue Apron. I love Blue Apron. Blue Apron is the leading meal kit delivery service in the U.S. And while many people know what they do, many don't know about the types of meals you eat when you cook with Blue Apron. I do because I'm cooking with Blue Apron all the time. They are delicious. How do these upcoming meals sound? Sheet pan roasted pork with fall vegetables and creamy maple mustard. Chili butter steaks with lemon parmesan broccoli and potatoes. Pretty delicious. Blue Apron delivers fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and step-by-step recipes right to your door that can be cooked in under 45 minutes. The menu changes every week based on what's in season and is designed by Blue Apron's in-house culinary team. Blue Apron offers 12 new recipes each week, and customers can pick 2, 3, or 4 recipes based on what best fits their schedule. Man, I really love Blue Apron, having a great time with it. And if you want to have a great time with Blue Apron, cook your own food, man. It feels so good. Blue Apron is treating Dan Le Batard Show listeners to their first dinner, a $30 value, if you visit blueapron.com/Stugatz. That's STUGOTZ. So check out this week's menu and get your $30 off with free shipping at blueapron.com/Stugatz. Blue Apron, a better way to cook.
With the Citi Double Cash Card, you get 1% cash back when you buy and 1% as you pay. That's like the joy of getting 2 W's on the road or catching the home run ball without spilling your drink. Double boom. Double the love with the Citi Double Cash Card. Apply now at Citi.com/doublecash.
Don Le Batard.
Cody's unruly. He hasn't talked into a microphone in a while, and he's like, his energy level is too high.
It really is. Yeah. I have a microphone set up, like a dead microphone set up in my house, and anytime I'm having a conversation with my wife, I now talk into a dead microphone.
I feel like you're peaking early, though. Like, you're going to be exhausted by 10:30.
I'm tired already.
Yeah.
Stugatz.
You're usually exceptional at staying in your lane.
Yeah, I got to torque it back. I'm sorry.
You're weaving all over the highway. You're sideswiping everybody.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio.
Greg Cote has to go to the bucket of death here in a second. Greg Cote has to do his back in my day in a second. Which would you like to do first, Greg Cote of the Miami Herald?
Either.
Okay, not helpful. So, the SI Co-Sports Person of the Year is J.J. Watt, Stugatz.
Yeah.
And I wonder, Mike, how do I talk about this without being cynical? Because what J.J. Watt did was amazing. It was amazing to watch in real time, and it's something that should be celebrated as an athlete uses the power of a platform to do good on behalf of his city, a city that cares about him.
I'm pretty certain we celebrated it.
But what I want to ask you guys is this, though. I don't know how much familiarity someone like J.J. Watt would have with distributing $30 million. And so you've got to be careful when you do all this stuff with athletes and like the foundations. All of this stuff is tricky. And so I don't want to take any of the feel good away from this story. I just want very badly to make sure that everything that J.J. Watt is getting, the accolades that he's getting, that all of the mechanics are in place so that he could distribute that goodwill as well as he probably imagines, but isn't probably equipped to do.
Well, I don't imagine he's actually handling those logistics. I imagine he's got a very powerful agent that's helping point him in the right direction as far as logistically how you dish that money out to the people that need it most.
I hope that this story doesn't turn sour at any point. Mm-hmm. And I know that seems unnecessarily cynical, but that's not because I think J.J. Watt is doing anything nefarious. It's because I think that J.J. Watt might not be totally equipped to just handle $30 million falling out of the sky for charitable purposes. Like, I don't know the mechanics. If you brought that right now into my life, I don't know how I would distribute that. Like, I don't know who I would have to trust and where I would go. I am a 48-year-old adult male. If you right now dropped 30 million charitable dollars in my lap, I don't know how to distribute that correctly.
Yeah, and there is a lot of corruption when it comes to foundations and such, not even implying that there's any wrongdoing with what J.J. Watt is doing. But, that's why there's oversight. That's why there are people who monitor foundations and charitable donations.
I'm certain J.J. Watt has a much better version of an Allison or a Mike that can take care of these things.
No, but a lot of these guys have
video. He took video of himself and showed how he was distributing all the stuff that he got for the flood victims and hurricane victims. So But of course he did. But he did take videos of himself doing that,
When
putting
you're-
all the boxes on his back and walking him out the warehouse and, putting them on a truck and delivering them to.
Well, that's one of the things that's interesting about him in general is he cares very much about how he is viewed. And so some of the things feel hammy or ham-handed or over-the-top syrupy because he looks very – now, it might be totally sincere, but there's a short leap from sincere to corny when you are somebody who is putting on a disguise for our perusal.
Well, you want credit. If you're a celebrity and you do something wonderful, you want the credit for it. I mean, Dwayne Wade used to sometimes surprise fans of his at like high school graduations and everything. That video got out.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is giving best done anonymously? Yes or no?
I know we've had this discussion here for the last few months. When is it okay to poke some fun at J.J. Watt? And I don't think there's a time anymore.
No, I think it's
I'll
okay
get
now.
out of here.
No, I think it's okay now.
I think he's earned the right. And just in terms of this, I meet this without cynicism. I trust that he's doing the right thing.
The thing that made me laugh about J.J. Watt in general was we've been having these conversations for 2 or 3 years around here. And the point that Stugatz turned on J.J. Watt is when he was telling you that he was in a cabin in the woods working out Spartan like Rocky. And when you blasphemed against that Rocky movie where Sylvester Stallone was running in Siberia with a log on his back,
Yep.
like when you blaspheme against that movie, you have offended Stugatz's every sensibility at his core. He will fight for that more than he will his children or his wife.
It was a tipping point for me. You're right.
And so when it was learned that cabin wasn't quite as minimalistic as J.J. Watt had suggested and, in fact, had an elevator, and the garage was larger than any of our homes,
Had a putting green.
let's not let this be that, is what I'm saying. Let's not make $30 million worth of relief that ends up with a Sports Illustrated Man of the Year. JJ, get everything in place so that nothing, so you're impenetrable, so nobody could come sniffing around journalist Stugatz and wreck this thing that you've built that is wonderful.
It also takes away a bit, like poor Jose Altuve, who not only did it off the field, but did it on the field, and he is completely being overshadowed today by J.J.
Hold on a
Watt.
second, Stugatz. I'm sorry, Grim Reaper, that our radio show has gotten in the way of your discomforts with your mask in a way that is evident to everyone. Come in here, Reaper. Please, let us do our radio show around your shame so that everything can be built around when it is that you come in here.
Halfway through that, the Reaper just screamed, "Land the plane."
Yeah. All right.
Do you think Jose Altuve feels like he won anything today? Honestly.
Hold on a second, Stugatz.
so
Let's just
tired
get
of this guy.
let's get the Reaper to stop being uncomfortable. Let's just put the bucket in front of Greg Cote. This is what we do every week. Greg Cote reaches in to a bucket of death. It's filled with helmets. Greg Cote's been very lucky this year. Greg
He's had a
Cote.
good run, yeah.
By the
We
way,
get a left-handed glove.
please speak into the microphone.
Finally, we get a left-handed glove.
By the way, I have an update before you start rummaging. Amino Hassan, he lost. He had the Chicago Bulls. They lost a heartbreaker against the Nuggets last week. He is selected the hissing cockroach.
Wow.
there
Thankfully.
was-
Zardos is still there.
That's a
Zardos.
hissing cockroach across your face.
So
Oh, my God.
Well, hold on, Greg. Don't go yet.
We're left with the Zardos, which is Sean Connery's costume from the film Zardos, the Cheetah, which is getting your body painted orange, and the Sting, which is being shirtless, oiled up, strapped to a bass guitar for the entire show.
I don't want any of those.
Yeah,
Wait, so
nobody wants any of those.
No
What
one
does
else.
Zardo mean?
No one else lost last week.
It's just mean.
It was just a meme. No, your golden. You thought you were going to get safe.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at this. I feel like
Yeah, you thought
I feel like I'm gonna be the guy ending up in the Zardos costume because I have to go back. Listen, I have all these shows on tape, but I'm gonna go back and watch the last 2 weeks because I feel like you guys are up to something nefarious.
No, you've had the golden helmet of life for 3 weeks, and it has not netted. Oh God, this Zardos costume!
It's the worst thing ever.
Let me explain something to you if you don't know what this Zardos costume is, because I just saw an angle of this Zardos costume that I'd never seen before. Sean Connery is pointing a gun right at me, and the only way I can describe
my God.
the package. His package is it's being held together by a pouch of red. It's being held up in a way that is. Do you remember the scene in Dodgeball with Ben Stiller where he just sits front of the woman who would be his wife, and he's got his cup inflated? It's like that.
Is this the worst thing that's ever been on the grid?
Yes. Guillermo, put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is the Zardos costume the worst thing that's ever been on the grid? So Greg Cote is going to select from the bucket now. He will pick a football team. That football team will represent him this weekend. If that team loses, he has to go to the grid of death, and he has selected...
Coin flip.
Coin flip. We can flip a coin right now and decide your fate right now. We can flip a coin, and if you get it right, you're safe. And if you get it wrong, you lose instantaneously, right. And you're going to be one of those three things.
I will return it to the
50-50 chance right there.
All right, that was a 50-50 chance.
That's not good enough.
I don't think 50% of the things in that bucket are good.
Right.
Let's see what we got. This is final.
Patriots!
Oh! At the Dolphins, though, and no Gronk.
Are home against the Dolphins. Monday Night Football.
The Dolphins are at home for this game.
Dolphins are at home, and no Gronk.
It's an 11-point favorite. That's as good as you're going to do. You can't do better than that.
Can't do better.
There are no other touchdown favorites in the sport this week.
No,
the Steelers actually are a 7-point favorite.
Yeah, it's a good upgrade for Greg.
It's a great helmet if you keep it. Remember, there's always the swap helmet.
Yep.
I'm keeping the Patriots. You insane?
All right, Greg Cody's no.
If someone gets the swap helmet and they want to swap with you, you don't have a choice.
Take it from you.
Oh, that's not right.
Greg Cody's Back in My Day is next.
Dan Le Batard.
Do you mind cleaning that up and tearing up papers and stuff when we're not on the air?
Stugats.
I did it without really thinking. It was far from the mic. Didn't think it'd pick it up. As a kid, I used to make the sound of ripping paper. I used to delight my friends with that.
Mm-hmm.
No, so you can go like that.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
We're about to get to Greg Cody's Back in My Day, but if you're just joining us, Stugats had to pay a grid of death punishment. One he owes, one of 6 he is owed.
Yep.
Dating back 2 years, and it resulted in Stugats cutting the great toenail of Greg Cote, which resulted in the break, Mike Ryan, of Greg Cote saying out loud to Stugats, "You didn't get into the corners. That's where the mung lies."
Yep. I saw the mung. There's a reason I stayed away from the corners. I figured I'd let you handle the mung later on today.
No, I can do that. Yeah. And you didn't use the V technique, but you still did pretty well.
I got it right at the toe line. So, because when you go beneath the toe line, it can be very uncomfortable. Right. But I feel like I did a very good job on your great toenail.
No, you did. But when you use the V technique and get a deep enough V, that allows you to then do the 2 sides and really dig into that mung area.
You want them to finish the job? We still have the Clippers.
Yeah, man, I'm eating lunch next break, man. Like, really?
No, I'll handle it myself.
Do you want to do it? Do you want him to do it while you're doing Back in My Day? Would you like him
No, I can't concentrate.
Okay. All right. Well, let's do Back in My Day.
I'll get the mung out, though, if you want.
Let's do Back in My Day. We got an eager Stugats. Let's do Back in My Day.
And now, it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cote, with Back in My Day.
Christmas decorations. Let's stay in the holiday season with something that sort of gets me out of the holiday spirit. I'm very particular about holiday outdoor decorations. You've heard me preach before against giant inflatable figures, for example. Well, the latest irritation are these various motion detectors that flood the walls of your home with a blanket of shimmering stars or blinking lights. Yes, at the flip of a switch, apparently your decorating is done. Fraud. You are the Rosie Ruiz of your block.
Whoa.
Taking an egregious shortcut, and the whole street knows it. At the coffee clatch, all the neighbors are bemoaning your laziness, your sharp veer from tradition. Let me remind you how to properly decorate your home. You get out your ladder, a hammer, some small U-shaped staple nails, and a string of lights. The lights should be old school red and green themed or white icicle style, nothing else. You place that ladder under the wood trim of your house, climb, and hammer, tap, systematically string those lights just below your roof line, moving your ladder little by little to the admiring glances and nods of passers-by. Yes, every year, more and more, You are ruining your fascia board. That's true with small holes, but it's a small price to pay. You are doing it in honor of authenticity and in Christ's name. Like me, the Lord looks down on motion projectors, by the way, sees them as tacky. Anyway, the job done, you climb down from your ladder and plug in the lights to admire your laborious but rewarding task, only to discover that several sections of the string of lights aren't working, ruining everything. You scream to the heavens while across the street, Dan McGillicuddy is regaling in your pain as he turns on his motion projectors. I'm Greg Cote. That's how it was.
All right, hold on a second. Hold on a second. While I love that.
So right. Yeah.
While I love that. Back in my day has taken an evolutionary turn I'm not comfortable with, which is just Greg Cote telling you how to do the holidays. Right.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
it's not back in
it's
my
the
it's
season.
Not, no, it's not anything back in my day. It's just Greg Cote wants to be the sermonizer and make the rules for all of the holidays, and now back in my day has transmogrified into something.
Yeah.
You know what? I've always felt like the holidays and the holiday season in particular needs a commissioner.
It does.
I've always felt like that,
Thank you
and
for
Greg
that.
Cody's the guy.
Well, there you go,
Yeah.
Guillermo. Put it on the poll. Would you be okay with Greg Cote being the commissioner of the holidays?
I am the commissioner of the holiday. The motion detectors, the motion projectors, rather, are fairly new. I think they've been around a couple of years.
Right, but you understand. First of all, put this on the poll as well. Do you know who Rosie Ruiz is? Because I'm guessing most of the audience
Is that
probably.
right? The Boston Marathon
see.
cheat.
We'll see. We'll see whether they know or not.
Right.
Greg uses the very thing that he was just railing against.
No, that's not true. Well, my wife bought it.
Oh, wow.
I didn't buy it.
Really?
What a
You're a
stunning
fraud.
development.
This is Matt Lauer interviewing
Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly. Thank you, Mike.
I was worried where that might go if I didn't fill in the blank.
My wife bought a
But
motion projector.
it turns out, my friend,
With your knowledge?
that Greg
No,
Cote
no,
appears
my
to be
knowledge.
Rosie Ruiz.
No.
And Rosie Ruiz, if she had been betrayed by her son, and her son had told everybody
Yeah.
that she faked her way through the Boston Marathon.
This is the worst thing Christopher's ever done to me since that
wow.
video a couple
This is
totally
really,
undermines
you
you,
have been
yeah.
unmasked in a way that makes me lose profound
I didn't
respect.
buy the
for
motion
you.
Hold on.
projector.
A couple of follow-ups. So have you used it before?
No.
Wait a
How
minute.
long have you had it for?
My wife bought it a couple of weeks ago.
Wait, what about on the tree?
That's temporary.
Oh, my
What?
God.
This is the whole thing is
don't know
unraveling.
you.
This is like Enron. Who are you?
Don Batard.
Greg Cote of the Miami Herald is in with us today. We were just having a raging argument about who made bald cool. He is alleging that Kojak did, Telly Savalas.
Stugats.
I mean, I have a list here. Bruce Willis certainly deserves to be on that list.
Well, wait a
Yul
minute.
Brynner.
Wait a minute.
No.
Yul Brenner's actually a good one.
Yul Brenner's
yes,
good.
yes,
Yes.
that's a good one.
Man,
Right.
nobody thinks of Yul Brenner as
Oh,
cool.
yeah. Brenner. The
Good
only
one.
man ever named Yule, Y-U-L. Not like Yule Log. He doesn't need the E. He's cool with just Y-U-L.
Right.
Yul Brenner.
Good point.
Fantastic.
Yep.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Hold on a second, Stugats. Roy, I have a question for you at the microphone, real quick. Please don't finish chewing. It's not important. When were you happier? When your child was born the other day at that moment of conception, or when that sandwich got here?
It's a tie.
That's a great answer.
You look,
today.
it's as happy
Yes.
as I've ever seen
Yes.
you. It's
Yes.
I mean, you look so happy eating that sandwich. And I imagine when the baby's born, you're just thinking about bills and responsibilities and stuff.
So damn delicious, man.
I feel
Yeah.
like you just said tie because you're lying, because your wife will get mad.
Yes, you will.
Ty's the answer today. You ask him 13 years from now when that kid turns into a teenager, and his answer will be the sandwich. I promise you. It might be sooner than that.
These sandwiches, man.
Oh, they're the best.
I think about them when I'm at home.
They're the best.
I dream about them.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys are kind of jackals. Everyone stops doing their jobs when the sandwiches gets here.
Oh.
It's like a pilgrimage. Look at, does Fats and Info have mayonnaise on his beard?
I hope
on
he
his
does.
red beard.
This place that we get them, we just discovered this place, Halves and Holes, and it is addicting, and it's, quite frankly, the greatest sandwich I've ever had.
It really is. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. Houston Texans defensive end J.J. Watt was named Sports Illustrated's co-sports person of the year, along with Houston Astros second baseman Jose Altuve. who actually played a sport this past year. UFC has hired Josh Heupel to be its new head coach. The Golden Knights have also...
UCF.
What did I say?
UFC.
That's weird.
That's dyslexia.
It is. UCF has hired Josh Heupel to be its new head coach. The Golden Knights have also hired Randy Shannon as its defensive coordinator. And finally, a 40-year-old Belleville man whose erratic driving was said to be due to eating pizza while behind the wheel got himself and his 32-year-old passenger arrested on other charges, according to police. The pair were caught with drugs in their vehicle after police conducted a traffic stop. A police patrol officer observed the vehicle traveling at a very slow speed. The vehicle went from hugging the curb to swerving erratically. The officer stopped the vehicle to conduct a sobriety check and discovered the driver was eating pizza. Officers searched the vehicle after observing open alcohol and located 2 bags containing approximately $1,300 worth of suspected crystal meth.
I was hungry.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Going to update the polls in a second here.
We are.
And Chris Sims joins us now. Chris Sims, NFL quarterback, Texas quarterback, is the son of Phil Sims. And he is now an analyst, and he had Blake Bortles as the 70th best quarterback in football. After Austin Carr, but before, who was it? Before who?
I think it's Austin Davis. That's a fine.
Mother bleep.
Yeah.
And Cody Kessler.
Yeah, Cody
Why
Kessler.
Why is this happening to me so much, man?
Wait, so Sims, Kessler was 71 on the list, right?
Yeah, he was. You guys are making me do my top 70 here, so I'm figuring it out on the go.
All right, so who's number 68?
Number 68, I'd have to go with T.J. Yates. That would be my pick there of the Texans. The third-string quarterback for the Houston Texans would be number 68.
Okay, right. Would you be okay, and I'll say goodbye to you on this note, would you be okay with us calling you every day until we've gotten to number 1?
Holy cow. That's a long time.
Please.
I do have a job, but I think we can manage it. I like you and Stugatz enough to work around my schedule and figure this out. It's the only pain in the butt is I'm going to actually have to figure out my next 67 here.
Okay. And I listen, no one understands that as well as I do, by the way. Right. I'm just interested, like Savage, does he come before Yates?
Hold on a second. We'll find out together. What are you doing?
But he's got Yates there, and I'm wondering if Savage is, I think Savage is behind Yates is where I was headed.
All right.
No, and definitely not. They're ahead of Blake Bortles. I'm sorry. Yes, he's ahead of Blake Bortles. I'm spoiler alert. Sorry.
Okay, so Tom Savage is ahead of Blake Bortles. All right, we'll check back into you. We'll check back in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, see you guys later.
Did you get in trouble with your dad because of what you said yesterday about Nance?
You know what? Nobody's listening to your show. I didn't even hear about it.
Yeah. You know what? I went home. I was hoping it was going to be big news, and I saw nothing on it. But I also realized you've said that. You've said it before, right?
Well, I haven't. I think if you guys get to know me, I don't hold too much back. I'm a pretty truthful guy. So, yeah, I have said things like that before.
All right, we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Chris.
Second first here.
All right, peace out, guys.
All right.
So Greg Cote of the Miami Herald is in with us. That's a 3-month commitment. I'm
so excited.
Put a down payment on.
Finally. Can I make a mean comment?
What?
Chris Sims, I give him credit. He's got a lot of nerve to rank quarterbacks with a 69.1 career rating.
Wow, that would have been good while he was here.
I mean, I just looked it up because I was curious. I knew he played in the NFL, but
Get him back on the line.
I knew nothing about his.
Back. Is he around there still?
Call him
I'm
back.
going to ruin this thing now, man.
Get him back on the line so we can ask him. No, because it's insulting. But I want Greg Cote to have to say it to his face instead of the cowardly way of doing it when he's sneaking out the door.
Would that qualify as saying it to his face?
Sort of.
Yeah, saying it while he's on the
not
line.
Actually looking at his face.
No, but while he's on the line, yes.
We'll bring him back in a second.
We have him there. Forget saying it to his face. I'd be satisfied with you just saying anything into a microphone.
Yeah, that'd be good if at any point today you decided to speak into a microphone. So, Chris, Greg Cote did the cowardly thing of waiting until you were gone before ripping your own quarterback rating.
Right. So now he's going to take the shot right to your
go
face
ahead.
here.
Go it to his face and let's see what Chris has to say. The same way. The same way.
It's not so much a shot, but Chris, I knew you obviously played in the NFL, but I couldn't recall how good you were or how long you played or anything, so I looked it up and I saw that you had a 69.1 career rating, and I was giving you credit for having nerve to rate other quarterbacks.
That was a compliment.
There was
you were
no
trying to
credit.
give him while he was
Ultimately,
gone?
it's a compliment.
Really?
Chris, he was giving Chris, there was zero credit
It didn't
given.
feel like a
No,
compliment.
it was a compliment.
He was
It didn't feel like credit.
He was questioning your resume and whether you are worthy of ranking quarterback.
Hold on a second.
Well, listen, I might now be worthy of a good quarterback rating. I'll say that, but my extensive history, I do think makes me worthy and one of the more qualified people on the planet. Other than the fact that, let's see, I grew up in the house of Phil Simms. He was the first quarterback I ever saw. I caught passes from Dan Marino and Favre at quarterback challenges. I've been on the field with Brady and Rodgers. I played against them. I was the number one quarterback in the country in high school. Let's see, I was the starting quarterback at Texas.
It's over. It's over. Hold on, the UFC ref. Stop, Chris, stop. You're going to kill him on the radio. Stop. You won.
Is all I'm saying.
You won the fight. Get out of there. All right, we'll talk to you tomorrow. Get him out of here.
Awesome
job. Oh, my God. What a barrage. A barrage. Good Lord.
What a delight Chris just turned into.
I can't wait for the next 68 days.
I do have a question for him tomorrow. He did he had a spleen explode during a game. That sounds painful.
Is he still there?
Yeah.
All right, hold on a second. Hold on a second.
Spleen?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on. Chris, your spleen exploded?
Yes, I lost my spleen. That's really what kind of ruined my career at the end of the day. Yeah, I almost died on the field. I lost 9 pints of blood.
And your question and qualification.
The silence is awkward and funny. A sentence of I lost 9 pints of blood just sitting there on a day when everyone is talking about how disgusting football was last night.
Hey, I make fun of the NFL Network every year when they do top 10 toughest performances, and I don't make the list. I'm one of the only guys ever that almost died on the field. I don't even get on there. I don't understand it.
Legit almost died. You were in the hospital for several days, yeah?
I was in for a whole week. Yes, I was. It was an emergency surgery. Like I said, you only got 14 pints of blood in your body. Before they brought me into surgery, they brought my wife in to say goodbye to me. They didn't know if I'd make it, but I did, and thank God, because I wouldn't be able to do these my top 69 quarterbacks without that.
What does it feel like to have your spleen explode?
Well, you know what it felt like? It felt like I had a 500-pound man sitting on my chest because I had the blood was stuck in my abdomen. It had nowhere to go. So I was literally just really short breaths. I couldn't figure out what the hell was wrong with me. Of course, you don't think your organs get hurt playing football. I thought maybe I broke a rib and it was touching a lung. I didn't understand that. But, it was, I've had better days. Let's put it that way.
Who was your coach?
John Gruden.
Dan Le Batard.
That guy's an idiot. He's not smart at life. He's not smart at books. He's not smart at people. He's not smart at interesting radio. He's not smart.
But that person has listened to the show every day for the last 6 years.
Should stop now.
Stugats.
I wonder, though, if it's on us.
Not on us. We're great. Awesome.
Best hour ever.
Yes! It's been our best hour in 6 years.
Best hour.
Double middle fingers to you, idiot moron Jocko. Woo!
That hour just won a Marconi. What do you think of that? I don't even know what a Marconi is.
Really?
You ruined it.
We had a flow going.
We had it going. That guy's
Pasta, right?
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugats on ESPN Radio.
Greg Cote of the Miami Herald in with us today. Our thanks to him after 4 or 5 straight terrible weeks. He's got a 2-week run here of successful shows. Let's go ahead and update the polls at Le Batard Show, if you don't mind. I want to get to this John Oliver story. He got into an argument with Dustin Hoffman that was really interesting. It's unbelievable that The Daily Show is going to produce the 2 greatest journalists of our time in comedians Jon Stewart and John Oliver. Because John Oliver asked Dustin Hoffman questions the way no one's asking questions these days.
And don't forget, Colbert, that's where things really started changing for his career.
Yep.
Go ahead. Let's update the polls, Stugat.
The Twitter poll is brought to you by Upside.com, giving all business travelers the gift of a better travel experience this holiday season. Check them out today at Upside.com, at Le Batard Show on Twitter. Which is weaker, kicking a field goal on 4th and short, down 38-0 late in the game, or kicking an onside kick when you're up big in a game?
Miami Hurricanes did that down against Clemson. Miami Dolphins did that up big against Denver.
56% of the audience said field goal.
Wow, Close.
Does society just need to huddle? 73% of the audience agrees with Herm Edwards, and they say yes.
All right, let's hear that sound.
And before I open up for questions, I'll tell you this about football. The thing you miss most when you don't play or you don't coach is the huddle. You miss the huddle. You miss the ability to walk in the room where collectively we're players that are from everywhere, every race, every religion, every color. It don't matter because you got a common goal. You're trying to be something special as a team. We don't huddle anymore in our society. We don't huddle. That's the problem with it, to be quite honest.
It's a good thing you were being quite honest.
Yep.
The problem with society, we don't huddle anymore.
Tom Savage, woof or woof? 57% of the audience said woof. He's bad. Are you insulted that Tom Savage is allowed to cash NFL checks? 67% of the audience said yes. Did you know that half of Japanese men pee sitting down while at home?
Would you be okay with like a reality show by ESPN in which they showed the guys who had to go on to the bank on Monday to give refunds for their football performance on Sunday, like Tom Savage? Like if there was a rule instituted that
Am I hosting it?
That 10 guys in the keep going with the poll.
Well, I mean, that's, you're gauging my interest, and I'm telling you how I could possibly be interested in that.
Matters.
I'm not saying I wouldn't watch it if I weren't hosting. It was just a follow-up.
All that matters is couldn't you host it? Yes. All that matters is where are the opportunities for Stugat. Thank you. I mean, you guys forget we're doing a radio show. You guys just are. Stugat says hatching plans all show.
Well, it's a good idea by you. I was just expanding on it, and I had a follow-up question to it. So I'd be interested whether I'm hosting it or not.
All right, keep going.
Okay. Is giving best done anonymously? That should be is giving best done anonymously.
Yes, if you were reading like a normal human being. Was there punctuation in there? I'm not aware of.
There was no punctuation, and I just asked to host a TV show. 68% of the audience said yes. Would you be okay with Greg Cote being the commissioner of the holidays? 54% of the audience said yes. Do you know who Rosie Ruiz is? 68% of the audience said no. Those are the polls.
That's how dated your references are, Cody. She is the name that you associate with fraud. In fact,
and with shortcuts.
Who fraud and
that's
shortcuts?
Kevin Durant. Not the fraud part.
Right. Both really. According in your personal record book, both.
Based off those poll results, I'm pretty sure she's not the name you associate with fraud.
Mike, go ahead and put on the poll, please. I'm sorry, play for the audience, if you don't mind. LeVar Ball with the greatest interviewer of our time, that Cuomo guy who asked him the hardest follow-up question ever asked by a journalist, which was, that's not a song.
Because we don't know if the president got the shoes, so we don't know whether or not he refused to say thank you.
He shoes. He know he got them shoes, and I tell you what, behind closed doors, I think he got them on his feet just dancing.
Are they?
And you know what song he's singing?
What song?
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
That is not a real song.
That's the song he's singing.
That is not a real song. And so John Oliver is asking the hard questions of Dustin Hoffman. Now, this is at a socialite event, Upper East Side. They're celebrating. It's a Q&A at the 92nd Street Y prior to a 20th anniversary screening of the war satire Wag the Dog. And so there have been a couple of women who have levied sexual misconduct allegations against Hoffman. One of them from the movie Death of a Salesman when she was 17 years old as an intern. Another one, a TV producer, who told Variety that Hoffman sexually propositioned her during a pitch meeting. And so Oliver says this is something we're going to have to talk about because it's hanging in the air. And Hoffman replied, it's hanging in the air. From a few things you've read, you've made an incredible assumption about me. You've made the case better than anyone else can. I'm guilty. At the time of some of the allegations, Hoffman issued the following statement. I have the utmost respect for women and feel terrible that anything I might have done could have put her in an uncomfortable situation. I'm sorry. It is not reflective of who I am. Oliver brought up that apology during the Q&A, telling Hoffman, you've made one statement in print. Does that feel like enough to you? Hoffman said, first of all, it didn't happen the way she reported. And then when specifically about the point of it's not reflective of who you are. Quote, he told him, it's not reflective of who you are. It's the part of the response to this stuff that bleeps me off. It is reflective of who you are. You've given no evidence to show that it didn't happen. There was a period of time when you were a creeper around women. It feels like a cop-out to say, well, this isn't me. Do you understand how that feels like a dismissal? Woo!
Man.
I mean, he brought the Chris Sims.
Hey, really? Is that what we're calling it?
You weren't there, Hoffman said. Oliver responded, I'm glad.
Wow.
You weren't there. You've put me on display here, Hoffman said. You have indicted me. That's not innocent until proven guilty. And Hoffman said, do you believe this stuff you read? And Oliver said, yes, because there's no point in that woman lying. And Hoffman replied, well, there's a point in her not bringing it up for 40 years.
Oof, wow.
And Oliver's response was, oh, Dustin.
Man.
Good for Oliver, man.
The audience got really uneasy with that. Like, what the? I mean.
Well, I'm uneasy just hearing you read it.
But whose side? Like, whose side do you take? Like, how do you?
What was it, a Q&A? What is that all about?
Question and answer.
But in what?
This was the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.